All right. Well, hello there, happily married woman. It is Dr. Siobhan Parat here. And I wanted to come on and talk with you about money, about the cost of things, about investing, expenses, money, right? So you may be thinking, what does that have to do with marriage? So the title of tonight's live stream is the cost of an unhappy marriage. Something we probably don't really think about, but I wanted to just provide a little bit of perspective on this topic so that we could really sort of get a sense of what it is we're really dealing with. And as I thought about this topic, I thought about some of my trips to Target, and maybe you have a similar experience where you go in there, right, and you have the items you need to get. And somehow, by the time you land at that checkout counter, you have picked up all this other stuff. Your bill is like 3 times higher than you intended it to be. And you sort of sit there wondering, like, how in the world did I accumulate all of this stuff? And so the same principle kind of applies when it comes to your marriage, right? You're going along in the state of being unhappy, and you may not be aware of all the things that you are accumulating along the way and what it's costing you, right? What it's actually costing you to be and remain in this state. So I thought I would come on and we could break it down together, just like if we were looking at a receipt. And I have a bill, right? So I have a bill with the expenses and the costs of having an unhappy marriage. So let me just identify some of the things. And earlier I posted this question, asking you all what does an unhappy marriage look like? Something to that effect. So here's some of the things that I know for sure are included in an unhappy marriage. So the first thing, and I'm using new technology, so I hope that if you're joining me live, I'm just going to show if there's any comments. If you're joining me live and you have comments and I can't see them, my apologies. I will check the news feed later. But anyways, so back to this bill. All right. Arguments. Arguments are definitely part of an unhappy marriage. So let's just say you're arguing every week. Okay, so that's item number 1 in your cart. Arguments every week. Number 2, loneliness. Feeling lonely and isolated. Let's just say 3 times a week, right? That's a good week where it's only 3 times a week you're feeling lonely. Item number 3, lack of connection. Lack of connection, feeling really disconnected. Now that's probably happening 6 days a week, right? Let's just be honest. 6 days a week, lack of connection, lack of intimacy, and no sex, right? So this one, right, I'm going to even be a little generous. Let's just say you may get to doing that twice a month, right? If you're unhappy, it's not happening on a regular basis. So let's just say twice a month on average, which is 28 days of no intimacy in that regard, right? Lack of communication, not really talking about things that are important, not really, sharing good news, not sharing your worries, your concerns with each other. You just sort of not really talking. Let's just assume in an unhappy marriage that's happening like 6 days a week, where you're really not talking the way you would like to be talking. Frustration. Feeling frustrated and annoyed and aggravated and angry. Let's say that's happening 4 days a week, right? So we're counting up the costs of an unhappy marriage. I want you to get a really good picture of this because a lot of times you don't really know, right? Just like that trip to Target, you get to the checkout line and you're like, what in the world? How did all this stuff get in here? And I want you to ask that same question. What in the world? How did all this stuff get in your marriage, right? And how are you allowing it to stay there? Coexisting, which is essentially living like roommates. So let's just say that's happening 6 days a week, right? Maybe one good day, you're not feeling like roommates, you're actually feeling like friends, right? And that's progress. So coexisting, living like roommates 6 days a week, that's happening in an unhappy marriage. No effort. No effort on your part, no effort on his part. You're just cruising along, letting things go downhill, right? You don't even say anything about it anymore, right? So that's about, let's just say 5 days a week that you're sitting there passively, not engaging, not connecting, not reaching out, and he's doing the same thing, right? And no understanding, just lack of understanding of each other, where, you know, he's doing things that you don't fully understand, you're doing things that he doesn't fully understand. There's no compassion, there's no attempts to actually understand each other, right? Let's just say 7 days a week that's happening, okay? And this is just a sampling, like this is one quick snapshot of an unhappy marriage. So we have arguments, loneliness, lack of connection, lack of sex, lack of communication, frustration, coexisting and living like roommates, making no effort, and lack of understanding. Okay, so I want you to get your calculator out, right? Like just think, take a mental calculation of what that is like, right? What would your total be if you were adding that up? What is it costing you to remain in this state of unhappiness, right? And I want you to really think about that. Like, so you have all of these items, these ingredients in your unhappy marriage right now. What are you paying for that, right? Like, what are you paying for that? Hello, Talika. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So we are doing, you know, the cost of an unhappy marriage. I have an itemized list: arguments, loneliness, lack of connection, lack of sex, lack of communication, frustration, coexisting, no effort, no understanding. That's just a quick snapshot on one day, right? So what are you paying? What is it costing you to remain in that state? What is it costing your family, right? Your children. Think about your children and the environment that you're allowing them to grow up in. Put a price tag on that, right? What is it costing you? I really want you to think about this, because so often we remain in these passive states of just watching things go from bad to worse, confused, overwhelmed. Oh, I'm so busy, I don't know what to do. You're doing a lot. You're sitting there thinking about the problem all the time and not really looking for solutions. And what's that costing you? Like, what's the price tag on that? Okay. And I want to suggest, you know, that really at the end of the day, what ends up happening is that you pay that bill, right? You pay that bill of this unhappy marriage with your peace, with your joy, with your contentment, your fulfillment, your happiness. You pay it with laughter that you're giving up, right? Quality time, wonderful memories. Those are the things that having an unhappy marriage suck out of you, right? So you're sacrificing your own happiness by remaining in this state where you're not communicating, you're not connecting, you're not intimate, you're not understanding each other, you're not making an effort, right? So those are the things you give up. That's what you're paying. You're paying in your happiness and your joy and your peace. When really at the end of the day, those are the things you actually want more of, right? If you could exchange the arguments for a wonderful conversation that actually matters, would you do it? Would you exchange an argument for a deep and meaningful conversation that leaves you feeling more connected to your husband than before, right? And, really ask yourself that question, like, if there was the chance that you could get those things back, that you could get more happiness, more joy, more peace, more contentment, more connection, would you pay? Like, would you be interested in something like that? Would you exchange, your time, your energy, your effort, your resources? Would you exchange that to get more happiness and to be able to look at your husband with contentment and to actually feel in love with him again, right? So I really just want you to think about that, right? So the title of this was The Cost of an Unhappy Marriage. And if you could turn it around, and stop spending all of your joy and your happiness and get more of that back, right? Would you do it? And, it requires that you actually do make an investment, right? So those things of turning your marriage around and being happier don't happen for free. And you need to make an investment. And by investment, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about an investment of your energy, your effort, your time, right? Because right now, your energy, your effort, and time is going to all the wrong places. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in this state, okay? And I want you to think about that. One of the examples I like to offer is, buying a house, purchasing a home, right? So when you think about that the principle that is, if you have a bigger down payment, your mortgage is less over the years, right? So if you make the sacrifice of putting more money away up front, if you make the sacrifice of going without some of the things, some of the luxuries you have at the time, if you make that sacrifice to get together a good, sizable down payment, then for the long term, right, you have lower mortgage payments and your life is easier in the long run. It does require sort of some short-term sacrifice and buckling down and being intentional and focused and driven and motivated and putting forth the effort to set that money aside. But you reap the benefits of, a 30-year mortgage that's so much cheaper than had you not saved up the money in the first place, right? And I want you to sort of think about your marriage in the same way, right? If you can make the investment of your time and your energy and your resources now, imagine the benefits that you will reap 10, 20, 30 years down the road, right? Where you can address the things now before they become a crisis so that it's so much easier, so much lighter. You have peace of mind. You have some room to breathe down the line. And that's what, this group is about. That's what the work I do is all about. It's about being intentional, making the investment now, making the deposit now to turn things around so that you can be happy, right? And I just wanted to come on today and just share this sort of interesting way of thinking about it. A lot of people don't consider, what is it really costing you to stay in the state you're in? A lot of times when I talk with women and we're exploring whether it makes sense for us to work together, I'll share the price of my services, and they see it in such a short-term, limited viewpoint, right? They see it as, oh, I have to shell out this much money right now, but they haven't counted up all that they've been spending already by being unhappy, right? They don't see that. And I just wanted to provide you with that perspective and for you to consider, like, what are you willing to exchange, right? If you could lower your payments of unhappiness in exchange for greater satisfaction and joy and love and peace and happiness in your marriage, would you do it? Would you do it? That's a question that you can answer. Only you can answer. Now, if you are willing to invest your time your energy, your effort, and your resources, I would love to support you in creating a marriage that is happier, a marriage that actually lights you up inside instead of a marriage that brings you down, right? And I've shared in this group already that I am opening up a group coaching program, which is an incredibly affordable way to get one-on-one coaching, I mean, personal coaching, not one-on-one. It is in a group setting. Although, if you act fast, you do actually get a one-on-one session with me as an extra bonus. But I'm not going to give all the details here because it's really important to me that the people who are really serious about turning their marriage around, take that step, right? It's sort of like when you're at church and they have the altar call. It's sort of like you could sit there and accept the Lord in your heart in that moment. But the goal is to really raise your hand, have a public declaration that that's the direction you're headed, right? And I'm not saying that I'm here to put you on the spot, but so many times we hide in shame for the things that are happening in our marriage. So many of you see these posts that I put and you don't want to like it. You don't want to comment on it because you're afraid of what other people might think of you. But let me tell you this, other people are not living your life. Other people are not in your home struggling the way that you're struggling in silence. And you don't have to struggle in silence. Like, we're here all in the same struggle. I have the same struggles that you do. And I'm not afraid to share it. I'm not afraid to come on here and tell you about something I'm trying to work through in my own marriage. You've seen me do it before. And so if that's you, be courageous enough to say, I need some help, right? We're all here to help. And I am honored to lead this group, right? I'm honored to lead this group here for free. And I'm honored to lead the group that will convene as part of this new group coaching program. And it's already filling up, and I'm super excited about the women who have taken that step to make their marriage better, who are willing to lower their expenses of an unhappy marriage by making a small investment financially, a good investment, energy and effort-wise, to turn their marriage around. And I would love for you to join me. So if this is something you're interested in, post a comment with this video, send me a private message, some way to raise your hand and say, I'm tired of bleeding money in terms of my happiness and joy and peace and contentment, and I want to turn things around in my marriage. I would love to support you. Thank you for watching this video. And I look forward to hearing from those of you who want to make a good down payment for a brighter and better marriage down the road. So have a great evening, and I'll be back with you sometime soon. Bye-bye.